Welcome, everybody. This is Jeff Dudan, and we are on the home front today with the phenomenal Howard Partridge. Welcome, Howard.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited about today, Howard, because anytime that we spend time together, I always leave inspired and educated and a little bit entertained. So we just spent some time together at Donald Miller's house in Nashville, the great business coach and consultant behind building a story brand. You were gracious enough to invite me to that mastermind, and I was so thankful to get to be there. So I just can't get enough of you, Howard.
Thank you. We're just getting started. I know I owe you an email, and that's been on my list. So I'll get some stuff up there for you, and I got some ideas, and I think this is just the beginning. So thank you for your support.
Well, that sounds great. So Howard, tell us a little bit, if you don't mind, who is Howard Partridge? Where are you from?
Well, I'm originally from LA, Lower Alabama, and my wife doesn't laugh at my jokes either, so it's okay.
No, I laughed.
Yeah, most people don't. I'm originally from Mobile, Alabama. I grew up on welfare. There were 7 kids crammed in a little 600 square foot shack. The roof on that house was so bad that every time it rained, we had to get out all the pots and pans to catch the leaks. My mother fed us on $100 a month from the welfare department. I don't care when that was. It just wasn't a lot of money. And when you grow up in an environment like that, what are you likely to turn out like? For me, I was a rebellious teenager. I got kicked out of the house by my stepdad, had no money still. I scraped up $39.95 for a Greyhound bus ticket to Houston, Texas, to live with my real dad that I only met twice in my whole life. He left when I was a year old. And I arrived here in Houston, Texas with 25 cents in my pocket. So that's how I got started.
Wow. So you're living with your father. Did he take you in? Did he let you live with him?
Yes, he was hesitant at first, but his new wife, who I'd also met, encouraged him to let me stay there. My sister was living with them too, and so he was a little bit, hesitant at first. But we became great friends. He helped me a lot in my first business. So I became a waiter, and I worked in all these really high-end restaurants where we did tableside cooking, steak Diane, bananas Foster, cherries you wore tuxedo to work. And setting stuff on fire inside at that age was pretty cool. But I always wanted to have my own business, but I still just really made enough money just to pay the rent. Then I met my wife, Denise Conjette Antoinette Pinella. Now that's Italian. She's from New Jersey. I'm from Lower Alabama. This is going to be a good match. So I marry in this Italian family. And when you marry an Italian family, you don't get wedding presents, you get cash. And so, in fact, there's a little purse that's made to match the wedding dress. That's the perfect size for envelopes. And each of the relatives come and gives you an envelope. It has cash in it. Might be $100, might be $500, depending on, their income level. And so after the wedding, we spread out all those envelopes on the bed, and there was $3,000 there. That was all the money that we had to our name. And there was a friend of the family, same age as me, 23 at the time. He was tooling around a little red Mercedes convertible, and that got my attention. I said, I want to know what that guy does, and I want to know if it's legal. Well, it turns out that he had his own business. And so I get back to Houston after the wedding, and I spend the entire $3,000 starting my first business out of the trunk of my car. My wife was really thrilled about that. She's like, "You're going to do what?" And I said, "I'm going to do what Billy does." So I started my first company. And for the first 13 years, I made good money. I made $100,000 net every year, except for the first 3 years. After the first, for 10 years in a row, 100 grand a year profit. But I worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I became a slave to that business. And in 1997, I learned that you got to have systems in your business, as Michael Gerber, my friend Michael Gerber says, you got to work on the business instead of in the business. And so I started working on the business, transformed that business into a multi-million-dollar business, which is turnkey. I still own it today, but I have a team that runs it, systems. I don't have to be involved ever. It's turnkey. And I started 25 years ago, I started coaching and helping other small business owners do the same thing. I help them we help them build systems in their business, build the right team, become a better leader. And so been doing that for 25 years. And of course, franchised my business coaching in 2022, a year and a half ago or so, I guess. And so now under the brand Phenomenal Business Coaching, powered by Zig Ziglar, and I became the exclusive small business coach for Zig Ziglar. I published 13 books. My 13th book is coming out next month. And so it's been quite the journey in coaching other businesses and watching them succeed. So currently we have coaching clients in 100 different industries in 20 different countries.
Howard, how many times do you see this story play out where somebody grows up in absolute scarcity, hungry, competing for resources, family situation, and you end up with the entire flip side, thinking abundantly and committing to a business probably every day that you're running that business, which was in the service industry for that 13 years. You were thankful and grateful for the opportunity to put food on the table, to raise your wonderful family, to provide, to support. And then you take it that step further and you say, there's other people out there that could learn from the lessons that I've experienced, and you take it to that next step of abundance, and you become one of this country's greatest and business coaches for small business today. And it's just never lost on me as we're on the home front here, and we get people on. If you go back far enough, that there's there's a reason that people do what they do, and part of it is when you actually live without a net. And if you fall, like it's the hard floor or it's a bed of spikes, you get resilient. It allows you to, you realize that most of these things aren't fatal, that you can really survive on very, very little. And then, you turn your mind towards, this idea of, well, then if I can survive that, I don't have to worry so much about risk. I don't have to worry so much about loss, because the worst I will never get put back deeper or farther underneath than I started.
Right. I was just thinking about that earlier today because, I don't know, your mind just goes there from time to time. It's like, I could get down to nothing and still not be worried, because I know that I can come back. I do a lot with Ellen Rohr, and you saw her at the mastermind that we did. And she's like, I could lose everything. I'll rebuild it, because once you understand the formula, right, then you can rebuild it. But I think one of the things that holds people back, I wrote a book called FTI, Failure to Implement. The number one reason people don't grow or do as well as they could or reach their bigger dreams and goals is because of what I call FTI, failure to implement. And there's a lot of books on productivity. Like my friend Brian Tracy wrote one of the most popular books on productivity and implementation called Eat That Frog. And it's a great book. But what I did in FTI is I unpacked why we fail to implement. People know that they need to do X, Y, and Z to get to where it is that they want to get to, but they just don't do the things that they need to do. And the question is why? And my mentor, Mr. Zig Ziglar, said that the secret ingredient of success is desire. Desire comes from a vision. And the reason that we don't have desires, we don't have a vision. The reason we don't have a vision is because there's some belief in us that has been caught more than it's been taught, that either, oh, that's not me, I could never do that. There's a fear somehow inside, right? And so the opposite of fear is faith. So not in a religious sense, but just belief, right? And I always just had this, even when I was bagging groceries in Mobile, Alabama. I was making more per hour than my mother was, and I just believed that I could do anything. I mean, I would see a situation, I would see a person, I'd go, that needs to be better. So I think that there's strengths that different people have. Fortunately, I have one called Futuristic on the Strengths Finder, and so I see things maybe, and so some people have vision, some people don't, right? And that's okay, because we need visionaries and we need integrators, right? We need people to implement, right? We need a team that just wants to get in and grind every day. But as far as business ownership goes, everybody has a different tolerance for risk, right? I probably have a lower tolerance for risk than somebody, for example, like Tommy Mello. I mean, that guy, that just no fear, right? Just like, who gets a master's degree while they're running a $200 million company? You know, just no fear. Just as one of my clients said one time, he said, I don't suffer from FTI. I suffer from, FTSI, failure to stop implementing, And so there's something inside. And one of the things I've learned through Zig and other people is that 90% of our beliefs are hidden. They're subconscious beliefs. They haven't been taught, they've been caught, right? And I think one of the best things that we can do is, from a personal development standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, is become self-aware, right? So if we're willing to take a look at ourselves and say, why do I do the things that I do? Why do I not do the things that I need to do? And sort of start unpacking that, and we can start coming to terms with our belief systems. This is why people need a coach. This is why Michael Jordan had several coaches. In fact, I met his trainer a couple months ago. Tim Grover trained Michael Jordan, and he trained Kobe Bryant. And Michael Jordan did not have the natural ability to do the things that he did. In fact, when they were doing the documentary, The Last Dance, about the Chicago Bulls and their last season, their final season of that particular team anyway, the documentary people, the film crew came into the gym early one morning when they were training, and they spotted the big poster of Michael Jordan just flying through the air, that famous shot, Air Jordan. And they looked at MJ and they said, so how do you do that? And he goes, I don't know, ask him, and points to Tim, his trainer, right? So a good coach will bring out, help increase the belief level, number one, and they will help you unpack some of the stuff that's holding you back, right? So everybody needs a coach. Every successful business owner needs a coach. Every successful athlete needs a coach. Every person who wants to perform at the highest level needs a coach. People who bury their head in the sand and say, no, I got my own way, I don't want to hear. They're not vulnerable. See, a high ego is an indicator of a low self-image. A high ego is an indicator of a low self-image. It's fear-based.
Really?
Now, absolutely. So we need some level of confidence. See, there's a difference between confidence and ego, right? We need a certain level of confidence. I'm not sure how this is going to work out, but I'm going to take the step by faith. If I fail, I fail. And so, as John Maxwell says, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. I learned from that. Okay, I learned another way that not to do it. So anyway, the point is that there's usually a belief issue, right? There might be a belief issue. For example, I just wrote a book that's coming out next month called How to Build a Phenomenal Dream Team that can run your business for you. If you have if you have multiple locations like you did in your first, well, maybe not your first, but in your franchise organization that you ran, and you have multiple businesses right now, you have to have a team that runs that stuff for you. It can't revolve around you, right? But
Correct.
at the same time, people who want to build a business, they're walking around going, can't find good people. Can't find good people. Nobody wants to work. Oh, and these millennials, all they do is stare at their phone, and so they're reinforcing. The other thing that people don't understand is that everything that you say goes into your subconscious and just reinforces your belief systems. Okay. Right? So, you got to be careful what you say, because those words turn into actions, and you'll reinforce a negative belief system, something that's not even true. It's not true. I mean, I have a client, his name is John Torres. He was at the meeting. You sat at the table with him.
I sat right next to John Torres.
Yeah, 47 million last year, 3 locations. They're in the restoration/reconstruction business. 185 employees. The average age is 28. You have never seen so many just young, smart, focused, engaged people in your life that are just phenomenal people. So, there's a lot of lies. Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And you gotta just take that out of your vocabulary and say, what one man can do, another can do. Now, it may or may not be what some other person does, may or may not be exactly what you want to do, because the greatest business lesson that I've ever learned is that the one and only reason your business exists is to be a vehicle to help you achieve your life goals. And so if business owners would first understand what their life goals are, and I've been blessed to be the exclusive small business coach for Ziglar, to be their first Ziglar Legacy certified trainer, to help Tom run that business and be a partner with Ziglar, to understand that personal development piece and that wheel of life, that comes first, because the fact is that your business can have a tremendous impact on your personal life, right? And that impact can be positive or negative. It doesn't have to be negative, right? Yes, we all have to grind. We all have to sacrifice, especially in the early days. But something that I remember that you told me was when you realized during Katrina that you're going to be away from your family, you said, "That's it. I gotta pivot. I gotta change my business structure." So my message is, get clear on your life goals first, and build the business that's going to help you live your ideal lifestyle. Now, it might be $100 million business. It might be $1 million business. Right. Everybody has different life goals. There's a lot of things that I could do that I don't even think about or pursue, because that would keep me from living my life goals. I'm called to do what I do. And because every decision that you make in building your business is going to affect your life goals. But at the same time, there are 3 things that I like to share with people that are required to have a phenomenally successful business. Right. Number 1, you got to have systems. And one of the great things about the franchise systems that you guys offer people is there's a proven system in place. Maybe there's, proven systems for marketing. Maybe there's proven systems for doing the actual technical work, of course. And maybe there's accounting systems and just different ways that you do things that are success systems. And a lot of franchisees, they buck that system before they even try it, So one is follow the proven system. A process takes the pressure off the person, both the person who is doing the work and the person who is leading the group or that owns the business. It takes the pressure off of everybody. I just did a webinar this morning on this, and had several bullet points on having a process. It's one of the principles. It's one of the 10 principles that I talk about in my book, FTI. So we got to have systems, because if you don't have a system, you can't train people, you can't delegate, you can't put people to work and to properly implement a part of your business and get free from it. You're going to always be stuck to it if you're the one, having to always make the decisions and always be there to, you got a minute. No, we have a system where everybody on our team is empowered in their position to take ownership of their position. Which brings me to the second thing, and that is leadership. Most small business owners have never been properly trained on leadership. The clues that we get from on leadership come from corporate America. And so we take our clues from corporate America. Guess what? Corporate America, 70% of American workers are disengaged. 18% are actively disengaged. They hate their job. Right. And so we decided to be a boss, just like, corporate America. Well, no wonder nobody wants to work for you. No wonder people quit. No wonder people are texting their friends like, I hate my boss. I hate, No, you got to turn that around. That's what my next book is all about. There's 3 parts, actually. Where are you going? That's part 1. And I'll walk them through 7 questions about how to determine where they need to be in their business or businesses in their career, whatever. And then number 2 is leadership. All right. John Maxwell's known as the #1 leadership expert in the world by Inc. magazine. I'll be with him this week. I'm leaving tomorrow to go down and be with John. I've known him for many, many years. And he says that leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. And the way you gain influence in someone else's life is by adding value to them. Mr. Ziglar said his most famous quote, his favorite quote to the day he passed away, November 28, 2012, he said, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what it is that they want. And it turns out that everybody wants the same 9 things out of life. So it's really not that, the thing is that most success principles are simple. They're just not easy, right? They're simple, just not easy. So if you just go out and add value to people, help them get what they want, guess what's going to happen?
It comes right back to you.
Yeah, they're going to want to work for you. So that's how John has so many young people on his team. I've hired 3 in the past. I just hired a young lady who's phenomenal. I got 2 kids who are 22 and 23, respectively, that have been with me for a little less than 2 years. And these guys are fulfilling roles like rock stars. I mean, they're just going straight to the top. So in order to do the third thing, which is to build a phenomenal dream team, first, you need to have systems. Second, you need to be a phenomenal leader. Third, in order to build a phenomenal dream team, you got to be a better leader. You got to be a stronger leader. And so part of our work at Phenomenal Business Coaching is to help business owners not only learn or use the systems that they already have. If they're in a franchise system, use those systems. Become a stronger leader so that you can then notice people. They're all around you. Notice them, connect with them, attract them, and so that they'll want to be on your team. And so the third part is to build a team, because as my friend Dave Anderson says, if you have a dream, and every entrepreneur has a dream. Now, some people may buy a business because they want a better job, a job to work for themselves. And you know how that works out is if you don't have the entrepreneurial spirit, If you don't have a dream, if you don't have a vision, you're just trying to get a job, it's not going to work out that well. So put your leadership hat on, have a vision. My personal definition of leadership is effectively communicating your vision. So first, you need to have a vision. Second, you need to spend time thinking about where you really want to go, what you really want. And that's part one of this book that's coming out. What do you want? Why do you want it? What's your biggest challenge? What do you need to know? Who do you need to work with? What's the plan? What's the completion date of your goal? And so being skilled at leadership and building a team, understanding how to communicate your vision to different kinds of people. This is why I love DISC and those personality profiles and Strengths Finder and all that stuff, because Jeff, what's crazy is when I first started my business, I wanted to work for myself. I just want to make people happy. I didn't want to know anything about accounting. I didn't want to know anything about leadership for sure. I didn't even want to think about what makes people tick. I was a waiter. I just wanted to serve people, make them happy.
Right.
And then I discovered that, wow, I could have a turnkey business. And why did I want to have a turnkey business? So I could go to the beach anytime I wanted. And then I found out that I had a passion, I had a calling to help other business owners. So I got in the coaching space. And the point is that if you're going to get up every morning and have joy in your life, if you're going to get up every morning and be fulfilled, and you're going to get up in the morning and be excited about your life, then you need to have a vision. You need to have a purpose. You need to understand what it is. And therefore, you can enjoy the ride, so to speak. But what I learned is that not only do I need to understand people and understand how to communicate with them, I need to understand how people think. And I went from not wanting to know anything about human behavior to I want to know everything about human behavior. Everything. I mean, as ugly as it might be, I want to know. I'm just so curious about humans today, after having coached, thousands of people over the years. It's just like, that's interesting, that's
Howard,
interesting,
man,
how do you get there where you are? It blows my mind. Human beings blow my mind.
well, that's the puzzle is
Yeah.
people are the puzzle, and businesses that do the people piece well tend to have an easier time with it, less turnover, less friction, less lack of, more clarity, all of these types of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Howard, how did you first meet Zig Ziglar?
Well, it's funny. Back in the day, now I didn't know Peter Lowe at the time. I didn't know Tamara Lowe at the time. But back in the day, must have been 1990, maybe year 2000. Anyway, so Peter Lowe used to host these big arena events, right? 20,000 people in the Toyota Center here in Houston.
Like a big Tony Robbins event type thing?
Yeah, but actually bigger than that. That was like 20,000 people. Because they would have like ex-presidents there. They would have celebrities there, and Zig was like the glue to all of it, and Peter and Tamara had a relationship with Zig that, previous to that. Anyway, so back in the day when the real big arena events were popular, I took my team. They had you bring your whole team for like $49 or whatever. And then of course, throughout the day, they're going to sell thousands of dollars of product, the whole deal. Sure. And nothing wrong with it, by the way. But anyway, so Zig came out and did his thing. And they had this, they gave away this package. And they were going to have a drawing for the package. So everybody who was on the floor level, several hundred people, had a ticket in this big barrel. That's a big, barrel of golden tickets, and they would crank that barrel and pick a ticket. But in order to give this package away, first Zig had to tell you all about the package, right? Oh, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. He said, this book right here, this tape right here. I mean, let me tell you about that old boy down there in Beaumont, Texas, and what happened to his business and what happened to his family. So he'd do a testimonial around every package. He wouldn't sell it. He's the big guy, right? He would just tell you what it had done for other people. Then what's supposed to happen that didn't happen that day is whoever was supposed to come out and say, all right, go get your Zig Ziglar package. Here's where you go. They blew it. Like Zig went off the stage. Nobody came back to the stage. The lights went up and everybody, you had 20,000 people twiddling their thumbs going, well,
is it over? Is it over?
We're on break. It's the middle of the day, so we knew it wasn't over, but I guess we're on break. Let's go to the restroom. So I elbowed my buddy. I said, I'm going to go find Zig Ziglar because I knew that's what had happened. I didn't know that game yet like I do now, but I knew that something was wrong. So I go circling the hallways of the Toyota Center, and I find Zig Ziglar's table, long L-shaped table. There's all these Mary Kay reps. They had a relationship with Mary Kay where they would come and serve because Mary Kay and Zig were friends back then. All these Mary Kay ladies are there at the product table ready for these thousands of people to sell these pallets of product. There was about 3 people that had stumbled on that table.
Nobody there. Well, nobody knew where to go.
Nobody knew where to go. Zig, it didn't seem to bother him at all. And he had his granddaughter there with him. And now that I have grandkids, I understand. He talked about his granddaughter the whole time. It's like, I want to talk to him about other stuff. This is my granddaughter. And, I was like, okay. So we got a picture together. And one of the 3 other people that were there wanted to talk to Zig. So I moved on. And the sales manager was there. And so I go to the sales manager. Now, the sales manager was white as a ghost. Like, okay, what's going through his mind is we've sent thousands of dollars of product down here, pallets of product that are going to go back to the warehouse. So I said, his name's Brian Flanagan. I said, Brian, nice to meet you. I said, so how does one build a relationship with the Ziglar Corporation? He looked up and down that table and he said, become a distributor of Zig Ziglar's products.
Okay.
I was like, okay. Now I had been coaching for, this was 19. When I finally connected with Ziglar, it was 2008, I think it was. So I guess I'd been coaching for about 10 years at that point. So I had an audience. I was doing conferences. I had members. And I thought, man, we can sell this Zig Ziglar product at our conference. No problem, right?
Sure.
So I said, okay, Jeff, I don't know why. I have no idea why. But for 5 years, I FTI'd. Didn't call on the Ziglar Corporation. Why? Every time I come back from Dallas, I'm like, why didn't you call on the Ziglar Corporation? Put it on the notes, put it on my action list. Next time you go. And I don't know why. Well, I do know why now. Because there was something happening in the spiritual realm. I wasn't supposed to know him at that time. Okay. And when you look back at the story of everything that's happening, the timing was perfect. Okay. I didn't know it at the time. I thought, man, gee, how many times are you going to blow it here? Anyway, so I was heading to Hobby Airport and I was going to Dallas to do a presentation. I was like, Ziglar. So I make the call, get a voicemail and get on the plane, get there, do my presentation. I get a call back from Ziglar on my voicemail, go down to see them, and making a long story a little shorter, met Tom. And at that day, I made arrangements for Mr. Ziglar to come and speak at my conference.
And Tom is,
And
just for clarity, Tom is Zig's son.
Zig's son, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and Tom runs the company. So, so I invited Zig to come and speak at my conference. He came, Tom came, his daughter Julie came, and got to know each other. And I started building a relationship with Tom. And then Ziglar decided to go into the coaching business. They wanted to go into business coaching, a longer story behind that. And so Tom called me.
Zig, how old a man is Zig at this point in time?
At that point, he was, I'd have to do some math. He was 86 when he passed away. So let's say 82, maybe something like that.
Okay. So he is 82 years old, actively engaged, up to something, going somewhere, looking to start new things. Okay.
Well, actually, here's what happened. So Zig had fallen down the stairs. He had short-term memory issues. And so when he spoke on the stage, he would tend to repeat himself. So he'd have to have Tom or Julie with him to keep him on track, you know, and because he'd repeat himself. And then one of them would have to say, well, Dad, you already told them that. And he had so much wit, even though he had, you know, brain damage, basically. He said, yeah, but those two guys on the front, they weren't listening. He was still so funny. He could remember everything that happened for all these years, all of his stories and all that. But he couldn't remember what happened 5 minutes ago. So he'd get on this loop, you know?
Well, that's how it happens.
Yeah. And so what happened was they finally decided, all right, Zig's not going to go travel anymore. He's not going to go, you know, speak anymore. So they went to see a consultant in Chicago. The consultant in Chicago looked at all their stuff and said, okay, you guys are perfect to go in the business coaching space. So Tom calls me and asks me if I would be willing to work with the Ziglar Corporation to do business coaching.
And your answer was?
My answer was, let me get my people to talk to your people. Maybe we can work something. I was like, how many Howards do you know? You know that you called Howard Partridge, right? Let me get that part straight first. Okay. And so it was just a God thing. I mean, when I look back, and so get this. Now you got to, you know, everybody here understands that Zig Ziglar is an American legend. Seth Godin. Seth Godin called him a national treasure. And he was. What I loved about that man, he was the same guy as he was backstage as he was on stage. Authentic. And finished 86 years of his life without a blemish on his record. And so,
you love that man. I mean, Howard, I see you getting a little emotional about this. I mean, did you love that man?
I still love him. Yeah. Changed my life. Part of my personal mission is to extend the legacy of Zig Ziglar's philosophy, to keep that alive, you know, because it's so good. And of course, I used to tease them, you know, I said, people, you know, I tell people that quote that you have, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what it is that they want. I said, you know, you stole that from the Bible. And because, you know, the Bible says, give and it'll be given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running up. He said, that's all right. I know him personally, you know. So he was just so good. And so the thing is that here's a man who who touched an estimated 250,000 lives, or 250 million lives, 250 million lives on the planet. Okay. And to be in a position to lead that company and that legacy forward is just, and to have the last chapter of his last book based on my quote. I mean, talk about phenomenal, over the top.
That's incredible.
It's incredible.
It's incredible.
So Tom and I built a framework. If you get the book Born to Win, the last chapter is called Born to Win for Business Leaders. It has our business assessment and our basic framework. And then I wrote another book called The 5 Secrets of a Phenomenal Business, the one that's in red right there. When people get on my website and opt in, you can get that book for free. And it's all about the systems, building the systems. But yeah, so to have the opportunity to represent him, to be as involved with his legacy and his business is what a blessing. I mean, wow, you know.
Howard, you deliver what amounts to be your life work combined with the Ziglar work, combined with all of the experiences that you've had working with all the other thought leaders around personal development, business coaching, and you just have lived an incredible life and built are highly respected inside of these networks with the Maxwells and all of these other people. How explain the different ways that you deliver to small business owners, or really anybody. I mean, I know you work with business owners. What if somebody's a prospective business owner? Is it too early for them to get involved with your products and your programs? Can you talk just a little bit? Because I know there's people out there that are going to say, well, how can I plug in with Howard?
Sure.
What are the opportunities and that you have for people to connect with you today through your programs?
You bet. Well, first off, the main thing that we do is work with business owners who have been in business for at least 3 years, who have at least 3 team members, because that's just our niche. Okay, that's our focus. And what happens is,
Got it.
And what I do is a membership. I do a membership. It's called Phenomenal Business Coaching is our brand. That's what that's our external brand, powered by Zig Ziglar. So what we do is we have a membership program where people can learn the proven systems in the areas of leadership, marketing, sales, service, and financial for a small business. Then we have group coaching and one-on-one coaching. So it's a membership program where people can, small business owners can get involved. And then what happens is in the community, and we do conferences every quarter for our membership. So our coaching members, what happens is then they get the business improved, but then they get the Zig Ziglar philosophy. I've written several personal development books. They get the whole phenomenal philosophy. And so it ends up changing their life. So there's a lot that we have, even for small business owners. I've got a couple marketing books. They're going to need systems. And we have a program for smaller businesses or people who are just starting out. It's not our primary focus, but it's there. And so they can learn. All you have to do is go to howardpartridge.com, and you're going to opt in. You're going to get my book for free. You're going to get free business training. And when you opt in, you put in your criteria, and we send different things to people who are people who have a team, who've been in business for 3 years, who are doing a certain amount of revenue. And then we'll send something different to the newer people, or the people who are like, let's say, new, independent agents, and we're going to have lot more stuff, a lot of things that people like that are going to be able to take advantage of. One thing is our franchise, Phenomenal Business Coaching. If
That's
you are
right.
passionate, yeah, if you're passionate about small business coaching, you want to help small business owners like I do, we have a turnkey solution for that, right? And so you can do what I do and help people the way I help people using my systems without having to go through all that I've had to go through, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think your particular franchise offering is so rich in as much as you have all of the content and that you built over a lifetime. But not only that, you've built it into very easy to use, sophisticated delivery mechanisms, all online, so that your franchise owners immediately take advantage of all of these things with their clients.
Yeah.
It's really unique in as much as the tried, tested, proven systems are, they don't even need to operate the systems. They really are customer acquisition,
Yeah.
coaching. They get to focus on the clients, and they get to
Yeah.
really help the clients use the tools, internalize, and be better, because you've built these systems really over decades
Yeah.
that are the framework and kind of the strong foundation and infrastructure for the phenomenal business coaching franchise.
Yeah, so we're looking for people who would want a phenomenal business coaching franchise, or that would do well with a phenomenal business coaching franchise, or people who love to network, love to meet people, love business owners. You go out, we give you the script, we tell you what to say to them, what questions to ask, and then you just simply get them into an opportunity. Everything is scripted. You got the whole system. Once they join the membership program, our system takes over from there. And all you have to do is just meet with them once a month to make sure that they're using all the resources that we have.
It's very unique. It's a very
Yeah.
unique offering. It's there's less to do as a franchise owner than in many other service or business service or coaching type franchises, just because of that infrastructure. So it's really a sales and coaching. So I would
Yeah.
expect that you would be looking for people that are passionate about helping people learn,
Yeah.
probably have some business experience that they're going to use to build credibility with their
Yeah.
clients.
Yeah.
So I can see people that have had success in a career that are looking to do something on their own
Yeah.
that's really, really asset light, and is, you one of those businesses. What does it say? You either take a shower before work or you take a shower after work. This is a business where you take a shower before work, and so you stay clean
Yeah.
out there doing it. That's
That's
right.
right. Well, so you don't have to buy any equipment. You can work over the phone, right online like this, and you need a computer, a phone, and Wi-Fi. I mean, you got it. But
That's
yeah,
right.
you normally don't sweat
No.
unless you're doing
Yeah.
your coaching call outside on the beach and it's hot outside.
Well, and it's entirely possible because I know you
Yeah,
do it. I've
I
been I've
do.
been on a Zoom with you down there in Destin.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Yep. Yep.
Well, fantastic. Well, congratulations on the success of that. I know you've been off to a good start with it, and you've got an early cohort of franchisees that are
Yep.
out there and doing phenomenal things for the business owners in their
Yeah.
communities and
Yeah.
around. So, well,
Yes, sir.
fantastic. You said something early that uh, 90% of beliefs are hidden.
Mhm.
I don't want to go all the way back to the beginning, but uh, I can't help but think that you've got some wisdom for people that are stuck and getting people unstuck. Because the first thing we do, and I coach our Homefront Brands franchisees in the very first couple hours of training about self-limiting beliefs, and I share with them that, look, we're the same, bag of molecules and cells that people like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs are. The difference is that they don't put walls up. They don't put themselves in a box of self-limiting beliefs. If they decide that something needs to get done and it's on purpose with what they believe humanity needs, then they don't stop until they find a way to get it done. And so the question is why, what is the different, what's behind the variation in outcomes for people? And I get back down to this concept of self-limiting beliefs, which goes back even further to the beginning of our conversation, is that when you grow up with nothing and you grow up living without a net and you grow up in risk or in peril, and you realize that you can never go back to behind where you started, because you started with nothing. And so I think that kind of a start in life gives people this belief in themselves, because if progress is one of the greatest satisfactors in life, and I'll share with people that negative progress is the biggest dissatisfactor in life. When
Yes.
you start
Yes.
from nothing and you have nothing,
Yeah.
everything is progress. If you
Right.
start from a wealthy family and you go to an Ivy League school, and now you've got all of these expectations about the minimum that you should do, anything less than that feels like negative progress. And it's got to be, I hate to say it, it's got to be really hard for people
Yeah.
to, that grow up with this abundance,
Yeah.
and these expectations, and they don't have the benefit of starting from ground zero and building these things themselves. So I can see how that generational thing where, somebody starts with nothing and they grow something, and then they give it to their kids who grow a little bit more. And then that next generation has such a fast start. They end up destroying the business, or,
Yeah.
not doing as well.
Yeah.
Is a real interesting psychology there inside of that. Now, what I'll say is, just because you start with means and you have opportunities, you still need to find a way to be motivated,
Right.
and not to have you can have, now you have what the curse of knowledge. Now you have, a lot, you've seen a lot, you've been exposed to a lot. Now you have too many good opportunities. Really, how many opportunities did you have? And first of all, it's a good thing that you ended up where you did, and you didn't run out of bus fare. Like, you just went to the end of the line. If you'd have had if you'd have had another $2, Howard, you might not even have been Howard Partridge. Your life could have been different, because you would have went to the next town. You never would have met your wife. None of this would have happened. So you
No,
had
no.
you had exact amount of money you needed to be you.
Yeah. Well, actually, this was the destination because my real dad. So here's what I want to talk
Oh,
about. And
that's
I
right.
believe,
You're going to your dad.
yeah, I believe that this is the key. I learned this from Zig. You see, Mr. Ziglar said that every human being has a poor self image to one degree or another. In other words, every single person on the planet um, has some level of limiting belief, right? And this is why he said that as a human being, you're born to win, designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, endowed with the seeds of greatness. After all, God don't make no junk. So I have my own translation of that because my brand is phenomenal. Everywhere I go, I tell people they're phenomenal. I had this conversation with an Indian lady in CBS yesterday. Okay. Um, she said, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm phenomenal." She goes, "Oh, really? Wow." I said, "So are you?" "I don't think so." So I have what I call the phenomenal talk, right? And why are we phenomenal? Because human beings are created different than animals. We have a creative mind, and we're designed for a purpose. If you ever want to be inspired, just read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. I mean, how can you have hope? How can you find purpose when you're in a Nazi prison camp without even getting into all the conditions? But you got shoes that are falling apart, and you're out there in the winter. You've had some liquid soup with maybe a pea in it and a piece of bread. That's all you've had, and you're getting hit over the back, and there's no facilities. I don't want to get too graphic. How can you find meaning in the midst of that? And so, what it really comes down to is understanding. My early mentor, the wisest man that I know, said human beings fall into one of two ditches, either the ditch of guilt or the ditch of pride. You see, most people, they don't think that they're enough. They don't think that they're enough. Other people that maybe grew up privileged, maybe they think they're all that. And either one is going to keep us from having the right image of ourselves. It all starts with a self-image, the picture we have of ourselves. When we finally understand that we have potential. So in my book, FTI, there's 10 principles. The first one is the potential principle. Understand that every human being has potential. Every human being on the planet is important, that we are designed for a purpose. Everybody is designed for a different purpose. Everybody was designed for a different purpose. And also share in there, there's an illustration. I have a model on finding your purpose, right? And then you got to find a path. This may not be the path. I mean, what did Zig do? He was, he's a salesman. He sold cookware, and then he found out that he could be good at. Get this. I mean, Zig wanted to quit until a mentor, a coach, pulled him aside and said, Zig, his name is PC Merrill. He said, I've never seen such a waste in all my life. He said, if you went to work on a regular schedule, you could be a great one. Nobody had ever told him that he could be a great one and what to do to be a great one until that day. And so he made a decision to go to work on a regular schedule. He became a great one. And then he decided to take a job as a sales trainer. And so, this path leads to that path, leads to that path, that leads to that path. But you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. So my message to everybody listening to this is that you are somebody. You are valuable. Yeah. You are phenomenal. You're created to be phenomenal, to do phenomenal things, and have a phenomenal life. Now, your job might be to be Ann Sullivan, who pours her heart and soul into one person, Helen Keller, who's deaf, dumb, and blind. That might be your purpose in life. Or it might be to be the next, Zig Ziglar speaking to thousands of people. See, that sounds so appealing, right? But it shouldn't be appealing if that's not what you're called to. Calling, purpose.
Howard, one day I was asked to come and speak to the Fellowship of Christian Athletes at the local high school. And high school kids are tough, by the way. And I've spoken, there was a new Quinnipiac University up in the Northeast was starting a franchise program. So they asked like 5 franchise executives to come speak. And I was the first one on the schedule. So I planes, trains, and automobiled my way up there and, to speak. And it was I'm telling you, it was a big inconvenience for me to get up there and to do this. And I had an hour and 15 minutes with these kids. And I gave them the best I could on franchising. And I could tell you, man, they just weren't really that interested that day. Like it was just part of the class. I didn't get a lot of engagement. It wasn't, it was kind of like the Kitchen Confidential of the, that Anthony Bourdain did. I told them what franchising really was and what it was. And I think what they were looking at it was because the instructor, who was a brilliant man and a kind man, he had drawn up on the board well, this is a factory and this is how products are distributed. It was like the technical, going along with their kind of advanced degree stuff. And I gave them the Kitchen Confidential version of franchising. Like, this is what makes it successful. This is what you got to do. And so I left that and I was just like, wow, that was one of the toughest rooms I've ever had, to be honest with you. They couldn't wait for that bell to ring and get out of there. So I go to this. So I'm actually, speak in front of, big rooms, but I'm going into this Fellowship of Christian Athletes with 20 kids in there. And I'm like, what am I going to tell them? And, I think the thing that I ended up with that day was, I'm going to challenge each of you to find a way today to give somebody an unsolicited compliment and to smile first. Because I can tell you, and I know that you can too, there's people in your life 20 years ago, 50 years ago, that took 30 seconds to say something to you that impacted your life so greatly because it gave you value as a person. It gave you direction. It gave you a thought in your head that without somebody putting it in there, you would have never, ever thought that it was possible for you, or should you even consider that for you? And that is the reason why what you do is so important. That's the reason why people need coaches. It's not that this stuff isn't available to everybody. Right. It's the fact that people don't get it, and they don't get it when they need it. And we all have got to have, whether you're 12 or 22 or 52, there's always somebody that needs to speak into your life and tell you just the right thing at just the right time, because, we can't visualize ourselves into something unless we've been exposed to it, or somebody else has maybe suggested that, like, this is what I see for you. This is what I see in you. Because sometimes other people can see things in us that we didn't really see for ourselves. So, so what you do in terms of the coaching, what I did in terms of coaching 30 seasons of my kids' sports, and I look back at the pictures I have on the walls. I look back at the notes and the cards that I got. At the end of every year, I would give the kids a video of every game, and I would write them a letter. And I can tell you, I'll be walking around town and somebody will come up to me and they will say, I remember when you said this. So it's those little things that make such a big difference in other people's lives. Yeah. And, you never know when the opportunity is going to come up to do it. I had a guy call me the other day. He cold called me. And I don't know if it was interesting because I picked up my phone for whatever reason. And a lot of times I don't, just because if I don't know who it is. And I don't know if it was a gimmick, but it was a young kid, and he was doing sales calls for a piece of technology. And he asked for my son. And he said, I just need to talk. And I don't know if he knew it was me or if it wasn't me. And I didn't tell him who I was. I said, well, you didn't get his phone, but I do work with him. Tell me what you're trying to tell me, tell me what you got. Like, what's the deal? Like, what do you want to talk to him for? And he says, well, I was referred by this person. And I knew that he kind of wasn't. He might've been, but I knew he kind of wasn't. But he did such a good job on that sales call because he was respectful. He answered my questions. And, and I just said, well, and after about a minute, I said, well, I can tell you that we're not a candidate for this because we already do this and we're heavily invested in this direction. So I can tell you from my perspective that this is never going to be something that we're going to use. And he said, well, who are you? And I said, well, my name's Jeff Dudan. I'm the CEO of the company. And he got all flustered or acted like he did. And he's like, oh, geez. He goes, oh, well, I guess you would know. And, but then I was like, and I was going to hang up the phone, but you know what? I took like a minute and I just gave him some coaching on a sales call, and I complimented him, and I told him, and I encouraged him. I said, keep doing what you're doing. I didn't hang up. You had just the right mixture. You didn't come across as salesy. You came across as respectful, but also professional. So I just took a minute just to encourage him. I could have just hung up the phone and said, thanks for calling. But I just felt like, hey, this is an opportunity to have this random interaction where you can speak into somebody's life, and you never know what that does for that person. Now, incidentally, that he reached out to me on LinkedIn and connected me and with me and all these things. So who knows whatever comes of that? But
Yeah, you never know.
it could be that bit of encouragement that he, maybe he's looking at a career change, or maybe he's looking at something else, but it could just, or maybe he was getting ready to quit because he was defeated. And, the next, and it's going to encourage him to make that next call, because I always tell people, you get the next opportunity by succeeding in the one that you're in.
Yeah, that's
And,
right.
failing, it's okay to make a change if it's not going where you want it to and it's not progress for you.
Yeah.
But you always need to finish it impeccably, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to tap on that with the importance of the work that you do. I know how passionate you are. I know how much it means to you, and I just really am. Every time I've learned some stuff here that has really inspired me. These the ditches of guilt and pride are. I think there's a lot of wisdom inside of that.
Yeah, so good. Well, John Maxwell told me something one time. He said, once you get a taste of significance, success will never satisfy. You know, and
Mm.
so what I'd encourage everyone here to do is, if you're in that place where you don't feel like you're enough, or you're suffering from the comparison disease of, look what this person has and look what that person, and poor little, the plum disease is what Mr. Ziglar called it. Poor little old me, the plum disease. If you're suffering from the plum disease, um, get around people who not only inspire you, but that care about you. It's called
Mm.
community. And we all need community. Listen, if you are a business owner, you get in our community, we have a level where you can just be around all of this and listen to stuff like this, and being inspired that what one person could do, another can do. You're going to have your own unique path. But the way we stay inspired, the way that we grow our belief system, is being around other people who are doing what we want to do. They're the kind of person we want to be. In fact, that's the greatest life lesson that I've ever learned. That is, get around people who are already where you want to be, and who also have a plan for you to follow. Because there's some people who are successful and they're like, they got some kind of windfall. It's like, I don't know what happened, but some event took place and they were smart enough to take advantage of it, or whatever. They struck oil by accident, but so they may not be able to tell you exactly how to do it. But a good coach, a good mentor, will help you, like you said, Jeff, see the gifts that are inside of you, because every single human being on planet Earth has unique, specific gifts. You have a unique fingerprint. And so having someone in your life that can mentor you, that can coach you, I wouldn't be here today had I not had the coaches and the mentors over the years of my life. I mean, the man that I told you is the wisest man that I know. I wouldn't even know about systems if it wasn't for him. And he was a pastor, but he studied business models because he applied them to church. And then I learned about systems, and I learned about leadership. Then I learned about team and people. So get around people, and you're listening to this podcast because there are people on this podcast that are already where you want to be and have a plan for you to follow. So you just need to engage, stay connected, and follow that plan.
The universe creates an unending supply of brokenness and a unending supply of opportunity. And sometimes to get our ego where it needs to be to have the growth, a lot of times it takes somebody else to care enough about us to tell us the truth, and to love us enough to see it through.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, sir. Well, thank you for being
Howard,
one of those people for me.
Well, likewise, I appreciate it. You gave me an incredible opportunity. Oh man, a couple of years ago now, it seems like to, you have 400 companies in your group, and you asked me without even validating whether I could do it or not. You said, "Can you come speak at our event?" And so you gave me the opportunity to keynote it and to do a couple of workshops. And I didn't think about it until I was there, but I said, "Wait a minute. This is not a room. I'm walking into this room and nobody knows who I am. This isn't a franchise room. This isn't a room of people that I've got exposure to. Like, this is a room that I'm going to have to earn every bit of credibility from these. I'm going to have to establish credibility. I'm going to have to bring value." And the confidence that I got from that opportunity that you gave me to be in front of that huge room, simulcast across your entire network. It was just, it was great. I walked out of there, 10 feet tall. And really, since then, there's never been a hesitation. Let me just find a bigger room, and let's just continue to spread the word about what we're doing and the things that we believe for business owners and people in general. So I really
Well,
appreciate that. You've made a big impact in my life.
Well, thank you for that. Well, you're one of those people that has been where that has been where a lot of people want to be. You've done a lot of things that other people want to do, and you have plans for them to follow. So, you're one of those people. And I'm new to the franchise world, so I'm just looking forward to learning more about you. I should have probably connected with you more a year ago. Um, so look for my phone calls and my emails because we're just getting started.
We are just getting started. Howard, last question.
Yeah.
If you had one sentence to speak into somebody's life, what would that be?
God loves you, so go love other people.
Perfect.
Simple as that.
Nothing else to be said there. Howard Partridge, how can people get in touch with you?
HowardPartridge.com. Just remember either the Partridge family or Partridge in a Pear Tree if it's Christmas time. HowardPartridge.com. Get the free business training.
Outstanding. Howard, as always, it's been an incredible pleasure. Always enjoy spending time with you, and we appreciate you being on the home front here today. Let's see. I think that's it, Howard. I think we're out. Anything else? Final words?
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Howard Partridge, for being on the home front with Jeff Dudan, and everybody out there. Thank you for listening.